Assalamu alaikum viewers. Our today's topic is consolidation, basics of consolidation, which is particularly useful for F3, F7 and CAF 7 of ICAP. Consolidated accounts are required if ever one company controls another. The precise definition of control contains several provisions, but the most situation in which one company owns more than 50% of the ordinary share capital of the other company. Consolidated financial statement. The financial statement of a group in which the assets, liabilities, equity, income, expenses, and cash flow of the parent and subsidiaries are presented as those of a single economic entity. Although, from the legal point of view, every company is a separate entity, but from the economic point of view, companies may not be separate. International accounting standards recognize this situation and require a parent company to produce consolidated financial statement showing the position and result of the whole group. Some definitions which are necessary to understand the topic of consolidation. First is control. An investor control an investee when the investor is exposed or has right to variable return from its involvement within the investee and has the ability to affect those returns through power over the investee. Second, power. Existing rights that give the current ability to direct the relevant activities of the investee. Subsidiary is said to be an entity that is controlled by another entity, and parent is said to be an entity that controls one or more subsidiaries. Group is said to be a parent and all of its subsidiaries. While associate is a company, an entity over which an investor has significant influence and which is neither a subsidiary nor an interest in a joint venture. Significant influence can be defined as the power to participate in the financial and operating policy decision of an investee but is not control or joint control over those policies. In the same way, control can also be defined the power to govern the financial and operating decisions of an investee. Control can be established in different ways. First is said to be purchase of more than 50% of the ordinary voting shares. This is the most common situation which represent that one company has a control over the other company. Second, the power of our 50% of the voting right by virtue of an agreement with other investors. Third, to govern the financial and operating policy of the entity under a state or an agreement. Fourth, to appoint or remove the majority of the members of board of directors. And last, to cast the majority of votes at a meeting of the board of directors. Where control exists, the investee is defined as subsidiary and the parent company must consolidate its result with the results of the subsidiary. In this particular lecture, we are talking about consolidated statement of financial position. The purpose of consolidated statement of financial position is to show all the assets and liabilities that are controlled by the parent company effectively as though it is one big company. Preparing a consolidated statement of financial position. First, the investment in the subsidiary shown in the parent statement of financial position is replaced by the net asset of subsidiary. Means the cost of investment in subsidiary is effectively cancelled with the ordinary share capital and reserves of subsidiaries and leaving goodwill as a balance. This produces a consolidated statement of financial position showing the net asset of the whole group, assets of parent as well as subsidiary, the share capital of the group which always equal the share capital of parent only, and the retained earning comprising profit earned by the group, all of the parent's historical profit plus post acquisition profit by the subsidiary. Here is the format of consolidated statement of financial position. First of all, representing non-current asset, property, plant and equipment, 100% of parent plus subsidiary. then goodwill, the intangible asset, then the current asset of 100% of parent and 100% of subsidiary. Same for the receivable and bank. In the section of equity and liabilities, the share capital of parent company is only represented. Retained earning is calculated by performing a working, same is the case of non-controlling interest. Non-controlling interest is defined as a portion of the subsidiary's net asset that are not owned by the parent. Then non-current liabilities and current liabilities are represented as 100% of parent and 100% of subsidiary's liabilities. The major consolidation adjustments. These are goodwill, non-controlling interest, and consolidated reserves or consolidated retained earning. Goodwill is said to be the difference between the value of business taken as a whole and the fair value of its separate net assets. Goodwill can be classified as positive goodwill or negative goodwill. Positive goodwill means if the value of business taken as a whole is greater than the fair value of its separate net asset, then it is said to be a positive goodwill. Such goodwill will be capitalized as an intangible non-current asset and then tested annually for possible impairments. While negative goodwill is a situation where the value of business taken as a whole is less than the fair value of its separate net assets. And value of negative goodwill is added in the group retained earning. Impairment of goodwill. In the consolidated statement of financial position, to record impairment, double entry is passed, debit group retained earning and credit goodwill. But this will happen when the fair value of non-controlling interest is not given. This is the most important point. If the fair value of non-controlling interest is given, then to record impairment, the entry would be passed by debit group retained earning, debit non-controlling interest with the respective holding in the subsidiary, and credit goodwill. So based on this fact that whether the fair value of non-controlling interest is given or not, the goodwill can also be calculated with the help of two different formulas. If the fair value of non-controlling interest is given, then the value of goodwill can be calculated as cost of investment plus fair value of non-controlling interest at acquisition minus net asset, fair value of net asset at acquisition. And in case the fair value of non-controlling interest is not given, goodwill can be calculated as cost of investment minus proportionate share of net asset at acquisition. This cost of investment can be given in different scenario, in different circumstances, in different ways. First and most common situation is that we have purchased the value of subsidy, the net asset of subsidy by paying cash. But net asset of subsidy can also be purchased by issuing own share capital of the parent company. Means to acquire the shares of subsidiary, the parent company can issue their own shares. In such a situation, the value of consideration will be measured as the fair value of share issued by the parent company to acquire the share of the subsidiary. Also, cost of investment can include contingent consideration, even if it is not deemed to be probable of payment at the date of acquisition. Whether it is probable or possible, in every situation, if it is a contingent consideration, it will be added in the value of cost of investment. And fourth is a situation if payment of cash is deferred, it should be discounted to present value using a rate at which the acquirer could obtain similar borrowing. Also, in the case of contingent consideration, if the rate of discount is given, the contingent consideration should also be discounted at its present value. Non-controlling interest. Non-controlling interest represent the proportion of subsidiary's net asset that are not owned by the parent. IFRS 3 allows for non-controlling interest to be valued in one of the two ways at the date of acquisition. One at the proportionate share of subsidiary's identifiable net asset or at fair value. Third most important adjustment is group reserve, in which first we have to record the retained earning of the parent company, then add or less the post acquisition profit or loss from the subsidiary. Post acquisition profit or profit made and included in the retained earning of subsidiary since acquisition. While pre-acquisition profit are reserves which exist in subsidiary company at the date when it is acquired, and these are capitalized at the date of acquisition by including them in goodwill calculation. Intercompany adjustment. There are some transactions which can be recorded in individual financial statement of a companies. But when both companies when presented they record as a group, then such transaction should be eliminated. The first of its kind is dividend paid by the subsidiary to parent. Second, intercompany balances. If one company sold to another company, then one company has to receive and other has to pay. In their individual financial statement, they can record these figures as receivable or payable. When both of the companies are recorded as a group, then such receivable or payable must be eliminated because one company couldn't record any receivable amount from itself and one company couldn't record any payable amount to itself. Unrealized profit. If one company sold goods to another company for some profit, then such portion of profit must be eliminated while consolidating that record of both companies. Dividend. When a subsidiary company pays a dividend during the year, the part of it would be received by parent company. This is also an intercompany transaction that should be eliminated. Intercompany balances. Current account. If parent and subsidiary trade with each other, then this will probably be done on credit, leading to these are amount owing within the group rather than outside the group, and therefore they must not appear in the consolidated statement of financial position. So they are therefore cancelled against each other on consolidation. Cash goods in transit. At the year end, current account may not agree owing to the existence of in transit items such as goods or cash. The usual rules are as follows. If the goods or cash are in transit between parent and subsidiary, make the adjusting entry to the statement of financial position of the recipient. Cash in transit adjusting entry is debit cash and credit receivable, while goods in transit adjusting entry is debit inventory and credit payable account. Unrealized profit. Profit made by members of a group on transaction with other group members are recognized in the accounts of the individual company concerned. But in terms of group as a whole, such profit are unrealized and must be eliminated from the consolidated accounts. This unrealized profit could relate to inventory or non-current asset where the companies trade with each other. First situation, if the seller is the parent company. If the seller is the parent company, the profit element is included in the holding company's account and relate entirely to the group. For adjustment, debit group retained earning and credit group inventory. And if the seller is the subsidiary, the profit element is included in the subsidiary's company account and relate partly to the group and partly to the non-controlling interest, if any. Adjustment required is debit subsidiaries retained earning and credit group inventory, or debit group retained earning, debit non-controlling interest and credit group inventory. And in case of sale of non-current asset, if the sale is by parent company, adjustment required is debit group retained earning and credit non-current assets. The amount that should be recorded in this entry is the profit on disposal less the additional depreciation. And second case, if the sale is by the subsidiary, debit group retained earning, debit non-controlling interest and credit non-current asset. Again, with the profit on disposal less additional depreciation. Now it is about basic working, how the value of goodwill is calculated, how the post-acquisition profit is calculated, how to value the non-controlling interest, how to value the group retained earning. All these are mentioned here. In the first working, group structure, this working shows how much the subsidiary is owned by the parent and how long parent has had control over subsidiary. Second working is the fair value of net asset at acquisition of subsidiary. In this, we have to calculate the net asset of the subsidiary at acquisition and net asset of subsidiary at reporting date. The difference of both these date, net asset of both these date is said to be post acquisition profit. Next one is the goodwill. Cost of investment plus fair value of NCI at the date of acquisition minus net asset at acquisition. Then value of NCI non-controlling interest, the fair value or proportionate value of NCI at acquisition plus share of post acquisition profit or loss and less impairment when fair value method is used for the calculation of goodwill. And in the group retained earning, first of all we have to mention the parent's retained earning plus or minus the share of post acquisition profit or loss. Adjust negative goodwill by adding in the group retained earning minus provision of unrealized profit on inventory or non-current asset if sold by parent. So this is the basics of consolidated statement of financial position, its terms, definition and workings. Do give your feedback and subscribe the channel. Thank you.